Good morning. I'm Mark Allen with Gaper.io, and I'm here today with Alex Poon, the CEO and co-founder of NorthShore.AI. Good afternoon, Alex. How you doing?
Good afternoon.
How you doing today?
Doing great.
That's good. And how are things in New York?
It's getting cold, but we can't complain. So I think we had a pretty decent October so far.
Yes,
I mean,
know. Yes. So to start with, can you share a brief background of yourself and your work experience?
Sure. So NorthShore.AI is my third startup that I founded. But before that, I've always been in the software engineering, data, and machine learning space for both of my past startups, and have been in writing software for the past 20 years.
Wow. So you're an old veteran now.
Something like that.
Yeah. So what has been your experience with remote employment, both as an employee and an employer?
So yeah, of course, as since COVID, I have been one of the many who've been working from home. But prior to that, in different teams that I manage, we have often had some versions of a multi-office team that are distributed, and in some cases having remote players directly in the team, from people in the US to people in London, Russia, and other places.
Wow, and I know you're in the New York area. Did you ever have an office in Manhattan?
Yeah, for most of my time, the companies that I work with have been headquartered in New York.
Oh, and then did you have to take the train in?
Yes, on almost every day.
Yes, I'm sure you don't miss that, correct?
No, it is amazing how much time you save from the remote hours. Even though I would say over the many years, I have optimized my commute to do things on the train so that I'm stay productive, or being able to kind of get into the office being ready. But definitely it's a big life improvement to just be able to wake up and walk into the office next door.
As I tell people, I have a 20-foot commute. You can't beat it.
Exactly.
So what do you think is the future of remote employment, and what do you think could be done differently to make it more effective?
Yeah, so I definitely think that remote is here to stay. Sure, I'm sure that there'll be teams and company out there that will implement some versions of a hybrid approach. I think it is, people do experience the many good things that like stuff we talked about the benefits of remote. But people, there will be people who don't have dedicated workspace, who wants that in human interactions. So I definitely think there's a place for in-person as well, particularly for like relationship forming and building, networking, and some of these kind of closer knit meetings, right? But with that, I think it's such an overwhelming amount of benefits you get from remote, ability to attract others and so on. So I would say that's here to stay. And what I see is that I think companies and teams have been sort of adapting to what is the remote work that they're being forced into, right? And it's not necessarily having a well-planned, well-thought-out process. I'm like, okay, we're going to do this, and how to optimize for a new environment. I think the way I think about it is, it's kind of like when many businesses went online many years ago, like newspaper and magazine, which is actually one of the industries that we serve in my first startup. Initially, you pretty much just put a digital copy of your newspaper online, and that's your digital newspaper. Of course, it took many years for the companies and the teams to learn how do we actually optimize for the fact that we are now online, as not just transferring paper into digital.
Yeah, interesting. So, and the thing about making it more effective, I actually think I've seen your website. I have a feeling your product is one of the things that could make remote work more effective. So, can you tell us about your product, what it does, and who you serve?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is a product dedicated for product and engineering teams that are making a lot of decisions. What we've seen is that, particularly for remote, that a lot of teams are working on Slack all the time, and that's sort of their primary mode of operations. And a lot of conversation happen. It is very unstructured. The challenge of that, like now you have gone from people not having information to there's too much information. There's a lot of messages and there's a lot of talk about being Slack fatigue. But at the same time, some of the key information or key decisions don't get captured. So this is where NorthShore.AI come in terms of creating a lightweight decision management platform that sits on top of a messaging system like Slack, allow you to dedicate time and space, finding the right people on Slack to have these conversations, and then making decision, logging them, and then making them easily searchable. And then you can subscribe to topic or subscribe to people. So therefore, never missing out on a decision that would have impacted your work and not hearing about it.
Interesting. And is there like a sweet spot for a number of people in a team, or does it really just matter to, each company unique?
I think it's about being a team. So if it's just the two of us working together, it's not as helpful. But I think this problem of FOMO or just simply not knowing and knowing or having too much information, it gets worse and worse as the team grows. So bigger teams.
So when you started your company, I'm assuming it was before COVID, right? So was it?
Yes. Yeah. It's we started thinking about the ideas before COVID, but again, it is certainly decision making and being able to find them, being able to actually making sure knowing the history of a certain decision is not new.
Correct.
But I would say that having a lot more teams or having a lot bigger portion of the team working remotely and relying even more heavily in messaging platform makes this challenge even much greater.
Right. And since everybody went remote in mid-March, I'm wondering, did that cause some challenges for you as a team? And did it actually increase your people's interest in your product?
So we're still early. So the discussion certainly, as we talk to other prospects and potential customers, we certainly hear the pain today, right? As they have spent months working remotely, and even though initially some of the execution is easier, but now a lot of the collaboration, which again, decision making is one of those key collaborations happening. For us, I think it's actually it helped us to be in that mode of like being a remote first company, starting off from day one, enabling us to just really be in our customers' mindset and kind of feeling the pain that they feel.
So finally, there are companies like Gaper that help develop, build, and scale products, especially for startups like yourself. How important do you think that will be going forward for people that need this and to be able to use your product in conjunction with remote development teams all over the world?
Right. So I see that remote, it is a new paradigm, that there's going to be a new set of processes and tools that will help team thrive in this environment and not just survive. So I think like having processes and tools like that will be significantly helpful to just make the transition a lot easier and be able to really take advantage of what is being offered, what remote has to offer to different teams.
Yes, I agree with you. So Alex, I want to thank you for your time today. This has been very interesting. I think you have a really cool product there. I actually think I can think of a couple companies that it probably would help. So maybe we could talk about that later.
Absolutely.
All right, well, have a great week. It's Monday morning.
Well, thank you for having me.
All right. See you later.